Prince Harry, let's talk a little bit about Harry, because he just seemed to jump in a car and was whisked off to the airport as soon as humanly possible. He did show up, played a very minor role, I think was in the third row. Princess Anne was in front of him with a giant hat, which I enjoyed. Just tell us how that has been received, that entire Prince Harry interlude.
Well, I mean, many people were grateful for the fact that he was only seen a little bit and not heard. And there were obviously many comments saying that he will come to regret this because he's effectively become a footnote in history. He has become, the worst nightmare of any self-respecting person. He has become a parody. No one really respects him. I think it was a shame that his children missed such an event because, again, it is a once-in-a-lifetime event. The next coronation will be probably in a few decades to come, and that will be of William. And I don't even know if their relationship will have recovered by then for that to even be a possibility. He really has isolated himself in its entirety, and it is quite sad to see someone who was a decorated military veteran who had all these patronages, who was very much well loved, and who had a persona that was very warm and endearing to the British public. To see someone go from that to this kind of woke caricature of something that we don't even recognize is quite sad. I mean, he did put on a brave face and he was all smiles and all of that, but he had no part in the ceremony whatsoever. To be relegated to the background like that of disgraced Prince Andrew, I mean, that really should say something, because in the grand scheme of things, his atrocities have been nowhere compared to his uncle Prince Andrew, and yet he has been such a distasteful character, and so many people are over all of his whinging and his wife's antics. But he effectively, one of the greatest moments in history, at least for this country in recent memory, he was a footnote. He had no part. And, he had to make the walk down the Abbey by himself because he chose to come by himself, because his wife, Meghan, chose to stay in California, which is probably a good idea, because I imagine most people would have lined up with a row of rotten tomatoes to throw at them. But the point is, it's quite a sad thing to see because he is still the king's son. And it's, the rift is still very clear and still very sore. I'm sure he didn't have anything to say to his brother. Actually, I can't imagine at any point he would have gotten a word with, because the festivities and how quickly he came and left. But it is really sad to see. I'm just glad that the coronation wasn't about him, which was what many people feared, and that it was a successful event, and it was something that we will definitely remember for years to come.